So Japanese atrocities we are talking about, right? And we're going to talk about that. I am quoting this from an Indian Express article. Very little has been written in the mainstream media. And I just want to say that I have taken this from Indian Express. One, because some of it was validated in other places. Second, because it just keeps looping back to this Indian Express article. Like a lot of people have referred to this Indian Express article, which is a little bit of a dicey thing for me because
Was this before Indian Express went to shits, or is it after?
I think it is after. Let me check. It's I think just a couple
What's
of
the
years
date on
back.
the article?
Yeah, that's what I'm 2023. So it went to shit
Yeah.
by then.
Hmm.
It went to shit by then, but it's written, it is referred in multiple places. It also backs up some of the information I found in other places by authors who had written books much before 2014. So, some freedom of expression and press was still there. But I just want to caveat this that media bias checker does not hold Indian Express in a very high regard. Even earlier,
I
right?
wonder why.
Like the factual aspects are dicey, right? So I have taken only the portions of which I have some confidence. I am not fully sure of their source. So the article says, since the time the Japanese set foot on the islands, they went on a rampage, killing and looting whatever they could lay their hands on. One of the first victims of Japanese savagery was Zulfikar Ali, who happened to have fired an air gun at them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, pausing here for a caveat. Some places say he fired an air gun at them just randomly. Some places say the Japanese released his chickens. I don't know what was happening like this. It's a very strange story.
This is
Okay,
funny.
but the cause we don't know. Okay, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. In coming back to the article, in response, the Japanese went about killing, raping, and burning whatever came before them till the time the villagers could produce the young boy the following morning. On being found, Zulfikar was dragged out, beaten, kicked, and tortured till he died. The memorial to the bravery and sacrifice of Zulfikar still stands on Port Blair, reminding the world of the Japanese atrocities in India. The article continues. The Punjabi poet Diwan Singh was in the Andamans during this period as a member of the INA. When he tried protecting the local population from the wrath of the Japanese, they arrested him and he was beaten up and tortured for close to 82 days before he died in January 1944. During the same period, 44 others were also shot dead by the Japanese for allegedly being the spies of allies. The incident, referred to as the Homfreganj massacre, is widely considered to be the harshest atrocity incurred by Indians under the Japanese. This is like Homfreganj massacre. Again, I have not gone too much into detail about it because it's a lot, right? But it was ridiculous. All of these people who
Mm.
were shot and Diwan Singh, who was tortured, they were suspected to be spies. There was no like validation whatsoever. They didn't bother to check before fucking killing people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So torture, killing them, imprisoning them, like a proper military rule, that was very, very common, right? But there's another aspect that is extremely common as well. There is no occupation, there has been no occupation on the planet where the colonizers did not exploit women, especially
Mm-hmm.
young girls, children. And the Japanese occupation was no different. So, as Imperial Japan went around colonizing countries, the women and young girls of those countries were forced into sexual slavery. The Japanese refer to this as comfort women, right? Horrifying name, right? I read a paper that was called the 2015 South Korean-Japanese Agreement on Comfort Women, a critical analysis. So basically, they are still trying to address this issue. I don't think there's any repatriation going on, but you want to maintain diplomatic relations. You want to address what you did, right? And this paper says, I'm quoting a little bit of it about comfort women. Between 1932 and the end of the Second World War in 1945, the Japanese Imperial Army, together with the support of the Japanese government, established an institutionalized system of sexual violence. In this rape system, thousands of women from Japan's occupied territories were forced to serve as sex slaves for the Japanese troops. These women were known euphemistically as comfort women, and the rape centers where they were exploited as comfort stations. Estimates of the total number vary. Yeah, it was horrifying. Estimates of the total number vary, but historians argue that approximately 50,000 to 200,000 women have been victims of this system. Although the victims came from all regions of the Japanese Empire, Korea was the main source for procuring comfort women. The abuses experienced by these women were not properly addressed for decades. This paper was also very difficult to read. This was what, like any other colonizer, Japanese troops also did this, right? And in Andaman and Nicobar, local women and young girls, like children, literally children, were forced into sexual slavery. But since the local population was fairly low, Malay and Korean women were also trafficked into the islands for these depraved, degenerate men of the Japanese troops, right? While all of this is going on, which is torture, imprisonment, wrongful imprisonment, killing people mindlessly, sexual slavery, there is also a constant systemic destruction of the economy. Again, something that is extremely, extremely common in amongst colonizers. Like they come to a land and they destroy that land completely, like completely. You look at what Israel has been doing. Look at recent examples, right? Like what you can relate to. Look at what Israel has been doing in Palestine. They have poured cement in their water system, right? They have destroyed any form of agriculture that is possible. They have destroyed centuries worth of olive trees, right? So it's not just people they kill. They ensure that anybody who survives cannot sustain themselves, right? It's a systemic destruction. It's almost like Sims for them. It's quite horrifying. In Andaman, the Japanese also did the same like British was doing across the globe and in India, and they had done so in Andaman. The Japanese sort of continued then. We just had different faces of our rulers, right? So the economic impact, right? The same paper that I was talking about in the International Journal for Multidisciplinary Research, that also talks about how Japan effectively destroyed the local economy and the people's ability to survive, right? And when we talk about destroying local economy, it is very different than destroying of the economy that tech does, right? It is actually, now that I think about it, it's quite similar. They do take all of the resources and leave nothing behind for local communities to survive on. So yeah, we have taken that and taken it forward. The tech industry has. Anyway, so this paper says, the Andaman and Nicobar Islands economy was predominantly based on agriculture prior to Japanese rule. Rice, coconut, and betel nut were among the subsistence crops grown by mainland Indian settlers. Forestry and fishing were significant sources of income as well. Of course, it was, it was an island, and it was an ecologically a thriving ecosystem, right? The paper continues. Although local food production was augmented by commerce with the mainland, the islands were comparatively self-sufficient. The economy of the lands was seriously damaged by the Japanese occupation. The local people were left to fend for themselves after the Japanese military took over agricultural resources to feed their troops. Because the Japanese diverted the majority of agricultural production to assist their military efforts, food shortages became widespread. The islanders, who were already having difficulty meeting their basic necessities as a result of the collapse of trade with the Indian mainland, were severely strained by this. So not only are you not letting them remain self-sufficient, because you're not letting them use the food that they produce, you are at war with British. So you are not allowing trade also to happen with the mainland. There was a famine here. There was no way for them to survive. Right? The paper continues, the Japanese also imposed forced labor on the local population. Many islanders were conscripted to build airstrips, naval facilities, and fortifications under harsh conditions, receiving little to no compensation for their labor. Due to their forced relocation from their ancestral territories to places under Japanese military authority, indigenous tribes were disproportionately impacted by these practices. Right? Wikipedia also talks about the food scarcity, and Wikipedia talks about it as in it's taken from a couple of these books that I was talking about, that that other article, Indian Express article, also mentioned. So I'm quoting from Wikipedia itself, right? As food became more scarce in 1945, the Japanese resorted to even more desperate measures. Between 250 and 700 people, estimates vary, from the Aberdeen area of South Andaman were deported to an uninhabited island to grow food. According to a survivor, a released convict called Saudagar Ali, at least half drowned or were eaten by sharks as they were pushed out of boats in the dark, whilst the remainder either died of starvation or were killed by Bangladeshi pirates.
Wait, I did not understand. Why were they pushed into the ocean?
They were trying to escape. So they were trying to come back, like.
Okay.
So they were, no, sorry, this is not while escaping. Fuck. Sorry. 1945, they were being deported. This is the last breath. Like the Japanese occupation is taking the last breath, right? And they were deported over there to another island. And you know how in boats people are stuffed. This is true for refugees. This is true for people being deported. And you are left with very little resources. And at this point of time, Andaman had practically no food sources left. Right? So the survivors themselves, like the people who were going to this island themselves, were pushing out people because there was no space, there was no food.
Okay, understood.
A rescue mission, I'm continuing from the article, a rescue mission sent to the island after the end of the occupation found just 12 survivors out of 250 to 700 people who went. Okay. They found just 12 survivors and over 100 skeletons on the beach. In all, approximately 2,000 people in the Andamans are thought to have died as a result of the occupation, and at least 501 tortured by the Japanese. The former figure, 2,000, represents 10% of the pre-war population of Port Blair. The Japanese wiped out 10% of the population in 3 years. Right? And remember, they did not intend to wipe out the population. Like, their intention was not, this is again not Israel occupying Palestine. Their intention was not to come and remove every trace of the local indigenous people. They were just that cruel and that incompetent. I'm continuing the quote. Casualties on the more sparsely populated Nicobar Islands were fewer, as the Japanese did not have a garrison there. Although in 1943, they created a brief reign of terror on Car Nicobar as they rounded up forced labor amongst the Nicobarese. The occupation left a legacy of lasting bitterness towards the Japanese and to some extent towards their collaborators in the provisional government of Free India, amongst the generation which experienced it. In 1945, when the Allies won World War II, the British occupied Andaman and Nicobar Islands again, and the Japanese troops were then forced to retreat. Till then, it was a shit show. Well, it was a shit show during the British, as I mentioned, top of the episode. Then it was a shit show now. Then it was a shit show after the British occupied it back. Then it continued being a shit show for a really long period of time, right? Like even today, there's a lot of threat to one of the very, very few ecological ecosystems that have actually been preserved, to the livelihoods of the local tribes, right? We still continue doing that.